Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody out there. Happy Friday, happy 5th of May, happy Cinco de Mayo. It's a beautiful, sunny, warm, awesome summer-like day here in San Diego. Perfect day for a margarita. Perfect day for some Mexican food, homemade. So I am here with my big knife to cook for you. Hey, Lori. A lot of what I'm doing tonight could be vegetarian, could be vegan. A lot of it's vegetarian, except the main dish, but I could actually make it vegan. So we'll have to do some vegan cooking together. So happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. I know it's not Mexican Independence Day, but I learned today that apparently Cinco de Mayo celebrates a French-Mexican battle or war of some sort, where the Mexican army or whatever just decimated the French, and they were apparently trying to take over Mexico. I don't know, some details like that. When Patrick's back from walking the dog, he'll fill you in on all the goodies. So, excuse me. This is a big holiday that I love because I love Mexican food and I love margaritas and I love to eat and I love to cook. Don't worry, I don't have COVID. I just went down the wrong tube, which happens sometimes. So I'm gonna have a little water. Anyway, no parties this year because we are still quarantined, essentially. We're not supposed to be socializing except for 6 feet in arm length or something like that. So I'm cooking for us. So I'm not doing my typical chicken mole, which I make from scratch, or I make this chipotle pork with nopalitos, cactus, and I make ropa viejas beef, and I make 2 types of beans. And anyway, I'm not doing that. I'm making 1 type of beans. I'm making carnitas, which is, it's very good too. I make it a few times a year. And I'm making some sweet potatoes, etc. So let's get started. I've done a lot of the work already because this is kind of an ordeal. It takes a lot of time. So we're just gonna kind of pick up where I left off earlier today. This is from a recipe that is very old. This is from Cuisine at Home. And this is February 2008. And I've been making it for that long. It's Mexican braised pork shoulder with a amazing fresh tomatillo verde sauce and the roasted sweet potatoes with cinnamon and cayenne and honey and lime, and so good, so good, so good, so good. So I've already braised the pork. That's sitting here waiting to be addressed in a little bit, but now I want to get going on the potatoes. So the potatoes are sweet potatoes, and look at the size of this thing. This thing is obscene. It's huge, but we're gonna still make it. The kids probably won't eat this because they're so picky, but I will eat it and Patrick will eat it. Oh, hair, let me get my hair out. Hair out of the way. Hope you're all having a great day. It's been nice here. Doesn't feel like a Tuesday to me. Okay, so sweet potatoes, peel them. You know, you can't really you can eat the skin on a sweet potato if you get it super tender. Like if you do it in the Instant Pot, which is what I've been doing lately. I've been making my sweet potatoes, baked sweet potatoes in the Instant Pot. And it's actually been working really well. You put about 1.5 cups of water in there and you put the trivet in there for steaming. And then depending on how big the potato is, 20 minutes or so, and it's perfect. And it's not, you know, you don't have to turn on the whole big oven and deal with all of that. This one has a little extra skin on it, so I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, I really like it. And sweet potatoes just with salt and pepper and butter with a steak, awesome. And there's so many ways you can eat a sweet potato. But this way that I'm making, you guys are probably gonna want this recipe, assuming you like sweet potatoes, because it's very unique. And although the potato is sweet, there's something about that combination with the cayenne and the honey, lime, cinnamon glaze you put on it at the end, and it complements the pork, which is a little more savory, really, really nicely. So you want the recipe? I'm happy to give it to you. So I was gonna cut up 3 of these, but this is making a lot. But I might as well just do it because we like leftovers. So just cut them into a size piece that you can bite. It's supposed to be bite-sized like a roasted potato, just a roasted sweet potato. And then we're gonna roast that a little bit with cayenne, salt and pepper, olive oil, and then we're gonna put the glaze on and then roast it for another 10 minutes or so. With a sweet potato, you have to be a little careful because you don't want to burn it. It's much easier to burn because the sugar content's much higher than a traditional white or gold potato. So keep that in mind. I'm actually using a parchment so that it doesn't stick and burn onto the pan, onto the ribbon baking sheet. We've got a little New Order going on. I love New Order. A band I never saw live though. That would have been fun. I should have put on some traditional Mexican music, but I don't know it and I can't sing to it. So I kind of like to put on my own stuff. I actually have a cooking playlist that I made on through iTunes, but I haven't figured out how to put on my music on this phone and through the speaker and continue to do a Facebook Live. So we'll see. Hey, Scott Lang and Rodolfo, I don't think I know you. So yeah, this will be good. This will make lots of good leftovers. You know, we all work at home now basically, unless you're essential and you're actually having to go into work, but we work at home always. So for us, it's always great to have leftovers because we're home, and rather than going out for lunch or whatever, for ordering in, we just eat our leftovers. So these are the chopped up sweet potatoes. And this is just gonna be done with olive oil, salt, and cayenne pepper. Be really careful with the cayenne pepper because it's very spicy. So you can always correct the seasonings, as I mentioned a lot with salt, but with cayenne, same thing. You don't want to put too much cayenne pepper because it really will ruin it. I'm gonna stop there. Now I'm all cayenne because you just don't want to overdo it. I don't think I have quite enough oil in here. And looks pretty good. You want to always mix your potatoes first. You don't want to put the oil in the pan and try to do it that way because it's just not going to mix as well. So give that a nice good, make sure you got enough oil in there. Usually I like to heat up the pan first. It makes it less likely to stick, the potatoes to stick to the pan with the fat in there, the oil. But since I'm using parchment, I don't really care. So just a little salt and cayenne pepper. Let me confirm, I don't usually follow this recipe because I just make it. Yeah, sweet potatoes, cayenne, and salt. It says a half a teaspoon of cayenne and it says salt to taste. So you're just gonna roast this in, I don't know what the oven is. I don't usually pay attention. This says 425 and this says 410, so let's up that a little bit. Generally you wanna roast it on a fairly high temperature. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see this because I can't quite see everything on there. You're gonna pour that right into your rim baking sheet. And you should have room between the potatoes. I didn't realize I had this much, otherwise I would have used a bigger baking sheet. This will be fine. This works fine. You just want to spread it out as much as you possibly can, and then go ahead and put it in the oven. It should be about 20 minutes. And then we'll move on to the next part. Whew. All right, so those are the potatoes. It says 425 for about 25 minutes. Then in the meantime, we're gonna mix up the honey, the lime, the cinnamon, and we'll put that on later at the end. But right now, I'm gonna switch gears, and we're going to go to step 2. Now this is a new recipe. In fact, I've never made rajas before. We used to have a favorite Mexican restaurant called El Callejón, and it was in Encinitas, right on the corner by Lucchetti Pizzeria. And then they went out of business, or I think they lost their lease, and it was just the best. We went there at least once a week. Amazing margaritas, amazing everything, amazing fresh fish. And they had this rajas dish that was always served as a side. So I would always get that, like you could pick between beans and rice rajas. And so I'm going to try to replicate that or something like that. So we'll see. Creamy poblano pepper strips, which is raja. Rajas means strips. And this looks doable, so let's give it a shot. I roasted the chilies before. You might have seen some pictures on that, and so I took these big Anaheim chilies, put them on the fire, put them in a bag, steamed them, then took the skin off and seeded them and cut them into strips. So that part is done already. And now I need to chop some onion. Onion, onion. So I hope you all got some exercise today, since it's Cinco de Mayo, and you're gonna be eating a lot tonight, if you're like me. I did, I ran 5 miles. I jogged 5 miles, I should say. Not much of a runner anymore. I'm too slow to run, but I jog. I jog a 10-minute mile, basically, which is not the worst, but it's not what I used to run. But who cares, who cares? So the onions, let's see what this says. This says 1 medium onion thinly sliced. So I'm not slicing it. So I'm going to modify my cutting so I'm slicing it more. I'm so used to chopping, and it wanted slices. It's fine. It's onions in with chilies, so it doesn't really matter. At least it doesn't matter to me. An onion is an onion is an onion. Okay, so a little bit of olive oil. We go through a lot of olive oil here. And Kirkland, Costco was out of their Kirkland brand, so I had to buy this new brand. Unfiltered extra virgin olive oil, 100% organic. It's about half gone now. I'm gonna have to get back to Costco. So olive oil. Since I don't know this recipe, how about I read it? Add the oil to a heavy large skillet. When it's hot, add the onion and saute. Well, I'm not gonna wait till it's hot because you really don't have to. You know, if you watch my shows, you know I am not a compliant cook. I just wing it. Okay, that's good. That's enough onion, I think. Who knows, maybe the kids will eat it. Maybe they won't. Either way, they will eat the carnitas. I know that much. Okay, so we're gonna saute that, and I'm actually going to make guacamole too. So in preparation for that, I'm gonna go ahead and chop off the rest of this onion, and this is important how you chop it because it's gonna be with guacamole. And you don't want it too strippy, you don't want it thinly sliced, you want it thinly chopped. This is a sweet onion. I ran out of my regular white onions, which is what I usually would use for this. But for guacamole, the sweet onions are really nice. It's like a Vidalia onion. And they're great. You can use them in subbing for regular onions. But in, you know, the flavor isn't as strong, obviously. And especially in guacamole, it's really good. Because you can actually, you know, you can actually eat the onion and you're not going to get all burned. It's sweet. Kind of sweet. As sweet as an onion can be. I'm going to let that go for a little bit. Because in the meantime, I'm going to make the guacamole. Guacamole. Okay. These were opened today for breakfast. So what I do is I just cut them in half, take the pit out, it's already out, and then I just squeeze them. Everybody's got their own way of doing their avocados, but that's what I do. Like in this one, the pit's still in there, so I just kind of squeeze that pit a little bit, dump it in the garbage, and then squeeze the rest of the fruit of the avocado out. Because it technically is a fruit, isn't it? And then, of course, you get to lick your hand when you get avocado on them, which is always yummy. Saute these onions. This is for the rajas. And then we're going to add the chili and all kinds of other things. It says till translucent, about 5 minutes. Oh, and this also calls for corn. I don't think my rajas had corn in it, but I think I will do 3 avocados in here. So I just cut it like that. The one with the pit, just kind of loosen it, plop it into the garbage, and squeeze it into the bowl. You can get fancy with this avocado slicer thing or a spoon, but I just squeeze it. Looks fine. One more. There's a gadget for everything. I actually have a gadget where you scoop it in here and it scoops out in perfect slices. Here's a gift from somebody. I like gadgets. And some of them, like my zester that I zest lemon and lime with, really useful. I use that thing all the time. I use it every week for sure. Okay, let's get that going. I'm going to wash my hands. I hope that someone gets so my guacamole is pretty simple. Fresh avocado, obviously. In this case, I've got 3 of them in there. I usually try to get some onions in there, like this. I don't know how much onion this is, but And this is a sweet onion, so you're not gonna really overdo it. And then what I do sometimes, and this is what I'm gonna do tonight, if I have fresh jalapeno, I might dice a little of that and put it in there. Patrick loves this paste hot salsa. It's a little too hot for me, but usually I just put a little bit in here because gives a little bit of tomato flavor and a little bit of spice. So that's what I typically do if I'm in a pinch. And then you definitely need some lime, and you definitely need salt. Other than that, you can kind of do, fresh jalapeno, you can do cilantro. There's all kinds of other things you can do if you want to do, but I like it pretty simple when it comes to my guacamole, at least. I'm simple in a lot of ways, complex in others. All right, so that is looking really good. I'm gonna start with the juice of one lime, and then we'll decide if we need more, because you can always add more. And I'm gonna use a potato masher, also known as an avocado masher. It works really well, especially if your avocados are a little on the non-ripe side. These were perfectly ripe, so I could have done this with a fork easily, but the potato masher is very easy, and so that's what I'm going to use. Get the spoon to taste it. I have a chip handy, and then we just use our favorite. We use these this Late July brand. We're not gluten-free, but these are gluten-free. They're organic. They're made with chia and flax and millet and quinoa and aromat. So really nice kind of hearty chip. That's our go-to chip. Now, if you can get to, what's the name of that place that has the amazing chips and salsa? I'm totally spacing right off of Santa Fe Road. El Nopalito. Man, their chips are amazing in that fire-roasted salsa. Wow. That's my favorite. Okay, let's check how this is. So this is nice and chunky with the onion in there and a little bit of salsa. That's perfect. It does not need more lime, and it does not need more salt. And it's got a little bit of heat to it. So I'm not gonna like put this in a bowl or anything because we don't care. And we're not serving for guests. So there's that. I'm gonna leave that out because we'll have that with our margaritas. Move on to the rajas. The onions are looking very good. I think you can sort of see that. Hey Sabrina, where did you get your recipe for the sweet potatoes and the lime? It's a Cuisine at Home magazine I used to get from 2008. I've made this lots of times. It's one of my favorite, weekday Mexican things. Unlike my chicken mole and whatnot, that takes forever to make. Hold that thought. See what's next? Add the corn and cook for additional 3 minutes. Okay. I put the corn somewhere. Oh, here it is. So here's the corn. I just bought frozen corn. Super simple frozen organic corn. It says 2 ears of corn. I didn't buy an ear. So I don't know how much that is. So I'm just going to put in that much. Okay. So yeah, Cuisine at Home, Sabrina, and this is it. I wrote up here, excellent, X-L-E-N-T, and underlined it. And I've got all kinds of writing like I do on all my recipes of what I've done. I don't do what it says to do. You're supposed to buy a big, giant hunkin' piece of pork with a bone in it, like huge. And you're supposed to use banana leaves and put that in the pot, put the pork in there, and braise it in that. And it's just way too much work, so I've never done that. I buy the big pork butt. It's like a 4-pack or a 6-pack from Costco. I cut it into chunks. I put the spice rub on it. You brown it. You take the pork out. You put in all the vegetables, which is fresh onion, fresh garlic, fresh poblanos, fresh jalapeno, fresh tomatillo. Put that back in there. Put the pork on top. Put about 2 cups of broth in there and braise it for 3 hours. And then I'll show you when I take it out, because I'm going to take it out soon and we're going to finish that in the oven. It's really very simple. It takes a while because of the braising. I know you can do it in the Instapot. I generally don't like to cook in the Instapot. I mean, I make my cheesecake in the Instapot. I make some soups in the Instapot. But I like to cook. I like the process of cooking. So I'm not really looking for shortcuts like crock pots and Instapots. I do use this all the time for making my grains, so I use it for that. But from a true cooking perspective, I like my hands and everything, and I like to be part of the whole process. So that's where I got the recipe, and I will give that to you. It's so good. It's just the combination of the lime and the honey and so good. So let me put that there, away from this, and let's see what's next. Add the corn, another 3 minutes, set aside. I've already peeled and seeded the chilies. And I know I need cheese, so I'm gonna get out the cheese. Monterey Jack. That's part of the ingredients in this recipe. And like I said, I used to have this in El Cayenne all the time, and it was so good. And I love cheese, so it's just this cheesy, amazingly yummy chili dish. Sometimes it's super spicy, sometimes it's not, and that's just the nature of the chili. Kind of like, you know, sometimes a steak, you get a steak and it's amazing, and another steak is not so amazing. It's the nature of the beast, so to speak. Same things with chilies. You can have one jalapeno that's just not even bearable because it's too spicy, and then another one that's you could totally eat. So you never know how spicy it's gonna be. Where did you get your recipe? Bob Burke. Hey Bob Burke, how's Mammoth going? We're gonna come up there as soon as we can. If there are any restrictions, I think probably in June, certainly in June, and maybe even sooner. I don't know what all's gonna be open, but we're really hoping that, you know, the golf courses are open and the bike park is open. So I guess time will tell. We'll have to touch base with you regarding what's happening there. Okay, so where are we now? Peel and seed the chilies. Add the strips to the onion and corn mixture. Okay, I already did this. Of course, I don't know where to put them. Oh, right here in front of my face. So these are the peeled and seeded charred chilies that I charred on my stove top. And you're supposed to just put those in here. And I think I did 6 poblanos, and then I had this other one, a long skinny green one. It's got some heat to it that I also threw in here for good measure. Ooh, it's about to make me sneeze. Okay, so you put the chilies right in here. You see that? Doesn't that look amazing? I feel like I'm at El Cayenne again. That looks actually really good. I think this is going to be a go-to. Saute until the corn is tender. Add the strips. 5 minutes. Add. So you also need cream and Mexican crema or creme fraiche, which I don't have. So I am gonna sub. We'll see if I'm gonna sub or not. I have sour cream and I have cream cheese. So I think I'm gonna I'll get the sour cream ready. I don't know if we're gonna sub or not. We'll just have to wing that one. We might not need to. But creme fraiche it's really good, but it's basically super thick cream. So more like a sour cream or a cream cheese, and you can find other things to sub with it. Okay, so this is looking really good. You can see that. So it's the onion, the corn, and then the chili strips. And it's really not hard to roast a chili. You can do it on your barbecue, you can do it under the broiler. I just did it on the stovetop because I was making the carnitas at the time. Hi Beast, dog's back. And you basically char it everywhere, put it in a bag for a little while to steam, and then you run it under water, and then just get all the skin off of it, the charred skin and the seeds. Okay, that looks very good. I'm super excited to try this. So then we're gonna add the cream and the crema and cook it until it's bubbling, and then add the cheese. So very simple. All right, I think we've got enough cheese there. Maybe just 1 or 2 more. It calls for a half a cup. It's a little more than half a cup, but I also think I might have put more chilies in it than it required. So we should be good there. We'll let that go. So let's see, what do I have? I actually made a list because I have so many things. Potatoes are in the oven, the rajas I'm making, the guac I made, the carnitas. Okay, the carnitas, yeah, I guess we can go with that. So I'm going to move this over here to my other spot. And I also made beans, really yummy beans. So this is the carnitas. Not the carnitas, but it's the pork that I braised. And so the braising liquid is what we're gonna make the verde sauce with. And the carnitas, I'm gonna take and put into this because we're gonna actually broil that. I'm gonna chop it up, and not chop it up, but separate it so it's not in these big chunks. And we're going to crisp that up in the oven before we eat it. So just take that out of here, and it's gonna leave this insanely delicious verde sauce. So I don't know if you saw my picture, but this was full of tomatillos, chopped up chilies, garlic, and onion. And now it's broiled down to this amazing sauce. And what we're gonna do is put that sauce into the processor. Hello, how are you?
Good.
Do you want to tell the Cinco de Mayo story?
No.
He doesn't want to do it. I told him like the short version, but I'm gonna grab some spinach because you need spinach for this verde sauce, about a cup of it. You also need cilantro, which I do not have, so I'm gonna put a little cumin in there to kind of substitute out the cilantro. Okay, you guys see over here, so I have my food processor over here, and I'm going to put all of this into the food processor, and then I'm going to put the spinach, the cilantro, which I don't have, and some fresh tomatillos in there. And that's gonna make another sauce that will go on the carnitas once the carnitas is done. So in the meantime, these chilies are looking great. Because we're gonna cook a little more to soften up the chili, the rajas. So this right into the food processor. You can also do this in a blender. You can do it in a blender, or you can do it in a Vitamix or whatever. But I'm just doing it on the Cuisinart because that seemed to be easier for me. Okay, the rajas are looking amazing. Yeah, I think I'm gonna like this. Now I haven't put any salt or anything in this, but again, we can always correct those seasonings later because it's probably gonna need some salt and pepper at the end. Okay, so this is the liquid, the braising liquid is in the Cuisinart, and I think we need a cup of spinach. I got the spinach. What did I do with the spinach? Oh, there it is. So about a cup of spinach. It also calls for a cup of cilantro, and I'm bummed I don't have it, but I don't have it. So just put that spinach directly in there. And I think we need some lime. That recipe's over here. So the braising liquid, the salsa verde, all the braising vegetables, 3 tomatillos, husks remove obviously. So these are tomatillos, that's a lime. These are tomatillos. I'm gonna cut them in half just to make it a little easier on the process. Just throw them right in there with the processing. There were a pound of tomatillos in the verde sauce itself that I braised the carnitas with. Put those right in there. And I know we need a lime. So it's the braising vegetables, 3 tomatillos halved, a cup of fresh spinach, a cup of cilantro leaves. In lieu of that, I'm gonna put a little bit of cumin. There's already quite a bit of cumin in the pork because the rub on there was cumin. And some of the pan juice, I just put it all in there because I like it. And then 1 tablespoon of fresh lime juice. So I'm gonna bring this back over here so you can see this. It's nice having a big stove. Okay. This is looking great. Oops, chili on the floor. Get rid of that. The dog would not like that. Definitely not. Okay. Lime, 1 tablespoon. It's going to require more than this little half, but let's finish this one off. And then when you taste this, after you've done it, you can add more lime, if you want more spice, you could add some fresh jalapeno in there. So you just kind of do it by taste. I'm going to start with that, and then I'm going to taste it. But first, I think we need to move back to the rajas, add the heavy cream and the Mexican crema. The heavy cream is in here. It calls for a 1/4 cup. I'm probably gonna put more than that in there. Maybe I'll just do that instead of the crema. This is not a fat-free meal. Pretty much nothing I eat is fat-free. Yeah, that looks good. I'm gonna put a little more cream in there. I'm not gonna mess around with the sour cream or cream cheese alternative. Yeah, this is looking more like what I used to eat at El Callejón. Give that a little taste. That's good. Need salt, which, as you know, I haven't put any salt in. There's definitely some heat on there from the rajas, which is good. But as I mentioned, you know, you never know how hot a chili is going to be. It can be really hot or it can be not so hot. I'll get a little cream on my lime. Well, it seems like things with the quarantine are kind of getting back to normal, which is great. I'll be looking forward to my favorite Mexican restaurant opening again. Not El Callejón, because that's gone, but Tony's Jacal, which is our typical Friday night deal. Love that place. But I've actually really enjoyed cooking. But I'm ready. I'm ready to go back to a restaurant. I'm sure a lot of you are too. Hopefully you like to cook, or someone in your household likes to cook. Otherwise you're doing takeout all the time. Okay, add the heavy cream and crema and cook until bubbling about 8 minutes. Okay, so we're just gonna let that sit. I'm gonna turn it down slightly. And you know what? I'm just gonna put some more cream in here because why not? Hey, that looks good. I'm gonna let that boil down. Food processor, I think you can see this. Yeah. So just pulse that a little bit. Depends if you like it really chunky or if you like it not so chunky. But you gotta do it enough so it dissolves, not dissolves, but so it chops up the tomatillo. Okay, let's taste that. Oh, that's good. That's really good. Really, really, really good. Maybe a little bit of salt. Plenty of lime in there. I can taste the lime, which is good. I like the lime. Now, maybe a little more cumin. The cilantro would give it a little different flavor, obviously. But this is very good. If you don't have cilantro or you're out like I am, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, that is really, really, really tasty. So that's pretty much done. We'll leave that. Come back to this. I'm going to check those potatoes in just a second. And I also made some beans. See if I can show you. Notice I use the same spoon for everything. Not a big deal. So these are pinto beans. Pinto beans I soaked overnight, and just dried pinto beans. And in here I sauteed some onion and garlic. I put a can of chopped tomatoes in here. A lot of spices like cumin. I think I put some jalapenos chopped up. And just really nice savory pinto bean. You know, some broth. Actually, what I usually do is when I'm making the pork, there's lots more liquid. I put a lot more water broth in the braising liquid than it says to, and I use that. Usually I make it the day before when I'm doing the Cinco de Mayo thing. Anyway, I use that to make my beans. A lot of people make beans in Instapots. I know you can do that. And again, it's just not my thing, but maybe I just haven't found the right way to do it yet. So the beans are there, the rajas are getting done. We're gonna cook this about 8 minutes and we'll put the cheese in. Then we will correct the seasonings and see how that's doing. In the meantime, I'm going to pull out the potatoes and see how they're coming along. Okay, they are not coming along yet, but that's fine. We don't have to worry about it. But what we do need to worry about, we don't need this sour cream, our fake creme fraiche. What we do need to do is make the glaze for the sweet potatoes. So that is honey and lime. Let's pull that to this other worn page. Half a cup of honey, a quarter cup of fresh lime juice, and ground cinnamon. I'm just gonna use this. We're gonna eyeball it because we don't like to measure. This is my honey that I melted last week because it was completely crystallized. Half a cup. Now if you can do whatever you want. You don't have to put a half a cup in if you think that's too much. I don't think that's a half a cup, but I think we're okay. Cinnamon, it says 1/4 teaspoon. I'm not gonna measure that either. Just gonna put that in there. And then lime, I know it needs quite a bit of lime. So we're just gonna, again, ballpark it and deal with the consequences. Because it just doesn't matter, you know? It's you that's gonna be eating this. So if you like it extra limey, put more lime in. If you like it extra cinnamony, put more cinnamon in. Erasure. Fun, 1986. So yeah, this is pretty mellow Cinco de Mayo. My friend, Burke from Minneapolis, he's on Facebook, but he's not really very active. I've known him forever, since the 80s. I met him when I was in college, because I was dating one of his friends who was out of college. But anyway, I'm digressing. Burke, great cook, and he used to have this gigantic Cinco de Mayo party. Some of my Facebook friends used to go to that too. And he would make the same 3 things that I make, so I went every year. It was a total blast. When I moved here to San Diego, I decided to do my own Cinco de Mayo party because I wasn't going to go all the way back to Minneapolis and go to Burke's party. So I took it over. He gave me all the recipes, told me exactly what to do, and I still do that to this day. Last year I did a party. Used to do it all the time, then kids slowed me down a little bit and started doing it again. Not to quite the scale I used to do it. I mean, we're talking, 10 chickens that I would cook, and it was quite an ordeal. So I don't go to those extents anymore. Last year I made the chicken mole, and I think I made the pork chipotle with the nopales. But it literally takes like 3 days. Hey, let's see how this is honey, fresh lime juice, and cinnamon. And this is going to go over the sweet potatoes when they're fully roasted. And we're gonna put it back into the oven for, I would say about 10 minutes. This says 5. Again, this is honey, so it will burn, so you don't want to put it in too much. And if you're using convection, you probably don't want to use convection on this. I usually do use convection when I roast. Oh my gosh, that's so good. You guys, this potato glaze thing, the sweet potato, it is so good. Man, that's good. I'm gonna put a little more lime in because I really like the way the lime and the cinnamon and the honey go together. This is a lime, it's yellow, yes I know, it's from my tree out front. I guess it's a Mexican lime, and someone says a key lime, I don't really know. I just know it's a lemon, a yellow lime. It works though, huh? Okay, if you want this recipe, let me know, I will post it. I'll take a picture of it and post it. Okay, so this is just honey, lime and cinnamon. Oh my gosh, so good. Okay. I think that'll be enough. This looks amazing. Let's see, what else do we have to do? I need to make margaritas, which I will. I will be doing that. Those potatoes are not ready, but I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do to the carnitas. So the sauce is done, as you see. So I'm gonna move this again. Again, the benefits of having a big stovetop. Okay, so the carnitas was in big chunks. It's already braised. What we're gonna do with this is break up those chunks a little bit. You see the big chunks, and just kind of separate them into more of a carnitas looking type texture, however you like that. And then when the time is right, we're gonna broil that in the oven. And then the verde sauce is gonna go on top of this. So you can see the texture is gonna be amazing. You've got this browned, yet, so it's a little crispy on the outside, braised, so it's super tender. As you can see, it just came apart very, very easily. And then the verde sauce is gonna go over this. Now, I'm just gonna serve this on a plate. You know, obviously, if you are a tortilla person, you serve it with tortillas. We're not tortilla people, unless they're fresh tortillas. And I'm not gonna take that one on. So this, we're not doing this yet, but when it's ready, we're gonna put that into the broiler and just crisp it up a little bit. So you can see how that's just like your traditional carnitas, but not fatty at all and just really flavorful and yummy. It makes also great leftovers. And this is looking really good. I think this is ready for the cheese. Where's the recipe? Here's the recipe. Let's see what it says. Add the cheese and stir until melted, then season with salt and pepper. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna turn this down a lot more. Elvis Costello is on New Wave right now, one of my all-time favorites. Seen him a few times in concert. Met him in Hawaii along with his lovely wife, Diana Krall. He had twins that were there at the same time we were there when Colton was the same age as the twins. I think 2, definitely in diapers still. Okay. El Cayenne, you don't have anything on me. Yes, this is gonna be pure decadence. This is gonna be a great side dish. Now you can put more cheese in if you want. I think it looks pretty perfect the way it is. It's not really a pretty meal. Green and yellow. Green Bay Packers. So just get those all in there. Okay, I'm gonna move this over here because I think it's time to make a drink. How about that? Kim out there, saw her today. She's my neighbor. She said she was gonna make margaritas for the first time, like in her life. Well, I got a recipe for you. So I told her what I do on mine. And I said that I'm gonna be making them too. And I gave her a link to where I did make them before. A little salt and pepper. Now this is pretty spicy, but there's just something about black pepper. It's a different kind of spice. Don't do it when you wanna get to it. Relax, don't do it. I'm not gonna sing all the words. But little Frankie, who doesn't like a little Frankie? This looks so good. I'm so excited. Stephanie, for golly, hey Mindy. Stephanie, if you're out there, I have rajas. I made rajas. Yay to me. I'm checking out the potatoes. You know what? They're not ready, but it's okay. It doesn't really matter because we gotta make margaritas anyway. Okay. Fresh cutting board, grapefruit, fresh grapefruit, very important in the margarita making process. I need a fresh knife. My favorite, Santuca. You know how to cut these, not this way. You cut them to add the little seeds on the side, seeds, whatever that is. I don't know what that is. Cut them this way. Beautiful. Hit me, hit me, hit me, hit me, hit me with your something. So you just squeeze this out. I'm gonna make one big shaker of margaritas and we'll see if that will get us there. Patrick will probably switch to something else. I could drink margaritas all night, at least these margaritas. Now I couldn't do that to a traditional margarita because they're too sweet and there's too much of everything. But this is a fresca margarita. So it uses fresh lime juice, fresh grapefruit juice, club soda, manuka honey, and it is just heavenly. Heavenly, heavenly, heavenly. I'm turning that down a little more. By the way, this rajas turned out great. So don't be afraid of the rajas. Nothing hard about it, nothing difficult about it. You gotta roast your chilies, but you could probably buy them that way. Shaker. So this was the juice of one ruby red. Plenty of juice there. I'm gonna put some pulp in there too because I like the pulp, personally. A little pulp. And you can put muddle, sorry, I distracted myself. You can muddle mint and or cucumber in there as well, which I've done. That's how I used to make them, but usually now I'm just like, throw some mint on there, and I don't even mess with the cucumbers, although it really is good, the cucumber muddled in there. So I would probably put about 5 limes in there, maybe a little more. And then I'll put the tequila and the Manuka honey. Use my lemon squeezer. Hopefully you can still see all this. Get that.
Is it margarita time?
It is. I'm going in now. But look at the rajas, honey.
Thank my goodness.
I have replicated the rajas from El Caya.
El Cayenne.
El Cayenne, and they look amazing.
Yes.
We're going to have a lot of leftovers. I cook, you know, there's 2 of us, the kids too, but they don't eat a lot of our stuff. I cook enough probably for 6 people. But like I said, I like our leftovers.
Pint glasses with ice?
Pint glasses with ice. See, he knows. Now, some of you have seen me make these margaritas a few times, so you should know. You should be experts at this now. Hey, Carlos. Saw you running the other day. I ran again today. Tired of running. I need my bike back. I just saw Dano texted me, though. So hopefully it's ready, because I'm running too much. My hips are killing me from all the running. I have to work out. So when I know on my bike, I mean, I guess I could go on a mountain bike, but it's not the same. I'm a road biker. Okay. Key ingredients for this: fresh lime juice, fresh grapefruit juice, honey. You can use agave. I prefer to use Manuka honey. It has a stronger flavor. It's got a really nice flavor. You could use regular honey. Something just to sweeten it just a tad. And club soda is another key ingredient. And of course, tequila is a key ingredient. I'm gonna put 2 more limes. Should text Carson and tell her to come home. Thank you. My phone is otherwise occupied. I told Carson she needed to be home for Cinco de Mayo tonight. She'll actually eat the carnitas, shockingly. Colton will eat the carnitas. They'll eat the carnitas and the beans. That's probably about it. They don't like sweet potatoes. What's up with that? Okay.
What time would you like her home?
By 6, 20 minutes. Okay, John Hayes, if you're out there, I do not have Herradura yet. I haven't been to the liquor store, but I have Kirkland Silver, which I do like very much. So instead of measuring, I just count. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna need to open up the second one because I kind of want to make this all at once. Yes, Herradura is the best. That is true. It's a Brown-Forman brand. It's obviously Mexican. And they have silver because John just posted a picture of his Herradura. And I love it. It's amazing. I just don't have any at the moment. How you doing, Rajas? You're looking good. Yes. You're looking very good. Okay, I have to count one more time. 7, 8. Okay, that'll do it. Manuka honey. This is my preferred sweetener. I'm not a huge fan of agave. This is Manuka honey from New Zealand. Just 1 big scoop of that into here, and we'll get that mixed up. You can use triple sec, but again, don't like that. I use a little bit of Grand Marnier as a floater. This is an active honey. Really, really, really good stuff. Great flavor. And it's medicinal. You can use it for all kinds of things besides just eating. Put it on wounds and check into it, Manuka or Monica. But in New Zealand, they say Manuka. So that's what I'm saying, Manuka. So since there's honey in here, you need to stir it up a little bit. It's not gonna shake as well. With honey in there, it won't dissipate, won't dissolve enough. So again, fresh lime, fresh grapefruit, tequila, Manuka honey. We're gonna shake that up. We're gonna put it over the rocks about 2/3 of the way. Then we're going to put club soda the rest of the way, and that's what gives it that lightness, and that's one of the other things about this margarita that make it so much better than a traditional margarita, and that you can drink You can have more than just one. So about 2/3. Plain water from my tap, which is filtered, whole house is filtered. Putting it in the soda stream. I hate to buy club soda, so I use soda stream and make my own. Better for the environment, you're not using the plastics. So this just has a CO2 cartridge in there. I think our CO2 cartridge is running low because it's taking me longer to be able to get this to make the noise. There it goes, till it makes that noise. Voila, club soda. Like I said, it doesn't usually take that long to make it. Just put that to the top. Not quite the top, we have Grand Marnier to add. Just a little floater, Grand Marnier at the top. Yay. All right, honey, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you sure?
Did you make mine a little stronger?
No. I gotta taste it. Okay, come over here and say hi. Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Hola, everybody.
Patrick Brown, extraordinaire.
Happy Cinco de Mayo. I was looking at this day in history, and I just figured out that it was 30 years ago today that I was at a Grateful Dead concert at Cal State Dominguez Hills while I was at UCLA, and it was blistering hot, and I found a picture of it online, and I could see myself because I was in the front row. I was right up against the rail, and I found a picture. I can tell it's me, so it's kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
So happy Cinco de Mayo. We celebrate the Battle of Puebla, where the Mexicans beat the French, where they were outmanned by 4,000 and took out one of the few wars I guess Napoleon lost in 1861.
So it's not Mexican Independence Day.
Nope.
Well, I mean, you could interpret that as that, because if they had lost to the French, maybe, but they didn't. So here's to Mexico. Woo, we love you, Mexico.
Yep.
Love your food, love your drinks, love you. Love your land, love everything about you, love your people.
If you could turn Mexican from eating too much Mexican food, Lauren and I would already be Mexican.
We would. The guac's ready. Would you like some guac?
Sayonara, everybody. Hope you have a great day. Stay safe.
There you go. Guacamole, chips. I'm going to wrap this up over here. Okay, I'm checking on the potatoes. Okay, they're looking very good. Let's get those out so you guys can see them. Roasted sweet potatoes. Now some people like these very, very, very crisp, and some people like them not so crisp. Let's see how these are. These are not so crisp. They look really good though. Let's see. No, they're perfect. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is put that glaze on them. The honey and cinnamon and lime glaze, just all over that, and we're gonna put it back in there for about 5-10 minutes. Oh, that smells so good. And I do highly recommend you use a parchment with this because of the way that it can stick. You're also supposed to put some cilantro on this at the end, but as we know, I don't have any cilantro, I'm out. I wouldn't do it anyway, probably. It doesn't really need it. It's got enough flavors. But if you're a huge fan of cilantro, people are kind of love it or hate it when it comes to cilantro. I like it. I don't love it, but I like it. I have no issue with it. I have no issue with cilantro. Are you waiting for me to drop one of these? It's not gonna happen. Burn your mouth. So just get this honey glaze covering it really well because you are going to love this honey glaze. Okay. Yum, yum, yum. Okay, so that is gonna go back in to roast a little more and get a nice little crust on it. And then I'm actually heating up the beans now. The rajas is ready, the beans are ready. And then it's really just a matter of the carnitas, which we just put in and broil literally for 5 minutes. So we're pretty much ready to roll. So I guess I can let you go. I would put this all together and let you see it, but you know what? I'll take a picture. My daughter's texting me. Sophia and I, la 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 la. Ooh, well, I'm not gonna read that right now. Cheers, everybody. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Thank you for enjoying this with us. Have a good night. Bye.